Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be focusing on something that I know is on a lot of your minds.
Yeah.
What does a really good website look like in 2025? Especially for those of you out there in communications and marketing.
Right.
Maybe you're prepping for a big website revamp. This one's for you.
This deep dive is definitely for you.
So to help us unpack this, we have this really insightful article. It's called Qu'est-ce qu'un bon site web on 2025.
Okay.
And it's from Images Creations, which is a digital agency based in Nantes. And they've been in the game for 3 decades.
Wow.
And they don't hold back.
Yeah.
About the need to balance the technical, the visual, and even the ethical considerations
Yeah.
when building a website in today's world.
You really have to think about all of those things, and that's what makes this deep dive
Right.
particularly useful, I think, for our listener today. As a communications or marketing manager,
Yeah.
you're juggling a lot. This article helps pinpoint what really matters.
So let's jump right in. And first up, let's talk speed.
Yeah.
I know it feels like we're always harping on about site speed.
Always talking about speed. Yeah.
But this article really drives home why it's even more crucial in 2025.
Yeah.
Especially with Google's Core Web Vitals constantly judging your site's performance.
Right. So we have these core web vitals,
Yeah.
like largest contentful paint or LCP, first input delay or FID, and cumulative layout shift or CLS. They're all about user experience. So imagine someone visits your site
Okay.
and the main image takes forever to load. That's a bad LCP score. And they might just bounce before they even see what you're about.
Oh, gosh. And losing potential customers just because your site is slow?
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate marketing nightmare.
That's a nightmare.
So how do we avoid that?
Well, optimization is key. We're talking about compressing images, streamlining your code, even considering a CDN.
Okay, what's a CDN?
The CDN is a content delivery network.
Okay.
Imagine your website's files are strategically stored on servers all over the world. When someone in, say, Australia visits your site, the content is delivered from a server nearby, making it super fast for them.
So it's like having a local presence everywhere.
It is.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, and a CDN isn't just about speed. It also plays a vital role in website security,
Yeah.
which is another critical aspect highlighted in this article.
All right, security. It's a digital jungle out there. Where do we even begin?
Well, HTTPS is the bare minimum these days. That little lock icon in your browser's address bar,
Right.
signaling a secure connection. But the article pushes us further,
Okay.
especially for a website with global ambitions.
So what's beyond HTTPS? I feel like the more I learn about website security, the more I realize how much I don't know.
Right, it can feel like falling down a rabbit hole.
Yes.
But that's why having a solid team of digital experts on your side is crucial. This article hints at a constantly evolving security landscape. Distributed hosting, CDNs, constant monitoring for vulnerabilities, automated updates, even something called penetration testing.
Wait, penetration testing?
Yeah.
What is that?
Think of it like a controlled attack on your website to identify weaknesses before the bad guys do. It's about proactively finding those security gaps.
So Images Creations,
Yeah.
the authors of this article, they actually do all this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. They have over 3 decades of experience navigating these complexities.
Wow.
They even have a blog
Yeah.
filled with in-depth articles about the digital world. Definitely worth checking out if you want to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, noted. I'm adding that to my list. So we've covered speed and security. What's next on our checklist for a good website in 2025?
Let's talk about user experience or UX.
Okay.
This article really stresses the need to understand what your users actually want.
So it's not just about making a pretty website anymore.
It's about making a website that works for your users. It's about anticipating their needs and making their experience as seamless as possible.
Okay, give me an example. How do I anticipate what someone wants from my website?
Let's say you're an e-commerce business.
Okay.
A potential customer lands on your homepage. Are they looking for specific product information? Are they comparing prices? Are they ready to buy? Understanding these different user intents allows you to design a site that guides them smoothly toward their goals.
So it's about creating a clear path for them no matter what they're looking for.
Exactly. And it all starts with user research. You can conduct user interviews, analyze website data, even test out different website prototypes to see what resonates with your target audience.
But that sounds like a lot of work,
Right?
especially for a small business owner who's already juggling a million things.
You're not wrong. It can be a lot to take on, but even small steps can make a big difference. For example, start by simply asking yourself, what are the main things people come to my website for?
Yeah.
And then think about how you can make those things as easy as possible to find and use.
I see your point. It's about prioritizing the user experience, even if you can't go all in
Yeah,
on fancy UX research right away.
exactly. And once you have a good understanding of your users' needs, you can start thinking about those little touches. That can make a big difference. The micro interactions.
Ah, yes. The article talks about these tiny animations and feedback mechanisms
Yeah.
that can really elevate the user experience, like a little add to cart animation or a validation check mark when you fill out a form correctly.
Right. Those small details might seem insignificant, but they make the website feel more responsive, more human.
It's like they're acknowledging your actions and saying, hey, we got this.
Exactly. And that builds trust,
Right.
which is crucial for any website, especially in a world where data privacy and ethical considerations are top of mind.
And that's a great segue to our next topic,
Okay.
personalization.
Yeah.
The article mentions a bit of a tightrope walk between providing helpful personalization and being a bit too creepy.
You hit the nail on the head. Personalization can be powerful when done right. Recommending products based on past purchases,
Okay.
tailoring content to specific interests, remembering user preferences, it can make the experience feel more tailored. But
there's that line we shouldn't cross.
exactly, users need to feel in control of their data. They need to understand what information is being collected and why. Transparency is absolutely key.
So clear cookie banners, opt-ins for push notifications.
Right.
No sneaky tactics to trick people into giving up their information. It's about respect.
Absolutely. And this ties back to ethical marketing practices, which are non-negotiable in 2025. Your website should be a welcoming space, not a data mining operation.
Okay, I'm getting a much clearer picture of what a good website looks like these days.
Good.
Speed security, a seamless user experience with thoughtful personalization. It's a lot to consider.
It is. But that's why we're here to help break it down.
Right.
And speaking of breaking things down, let's talk about another crucial element, accessibility.
Accessibility, that's about making sure your website is usable by people with disabilities, right?
That's the basic idea, yes. But it's more than just a moral obligation. It's a smart business move.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
This article dives into WCAG standards, which sound technical, but are essentially guidelines for making your website accessible to everyone. Think contrast ratios for readability, keyboard navigation for those who can't use a mouse, text descriptions for images, so screen readers can describe them to visually impaired users.
So it's not just about people with disability, it's about making the web a better place for everyone.
Exactly. And the beauty is many of these accessibility practices actually improve the overall user experience for everyone. For example, clear and concise language benefits all users, not just those with cognitive disabilities.
I never thought of it that way. So even if I think my audience is mostly able-bodied folks, there's still a good reason to prioritize accessibility.
Absolutely. Plus, did you know that Google factors accessibility into its search rankings?
Oh, really?
A well-structured, accessible website is more likely to rank higher in search results.
So it's a win-win situation. You're doing the right thing and potentially boosting your SEO.
Precisely. And for our listener today, someone who's thinking about the future of their website, accessibility needs to be baked into the plan from the start.
Okay. I'm convinced accessibility is a must-have. But now for the fun stuff.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk visual design. This article mentions a whole bunch of trends, from minimalism to brutalism to glassmorphism.
It's a veritable buffet of visual styles, but remember, it's not just about following trends. The key is to choose a style that aligns with your brand identity and resonates with your target audience.
Okay, so help me out here. What are some of these styles all about? What is brutalism when it comes to web design?
Brutalism is all about raw, unpolished aesthetics. Think bold typography, stark contrasts, and a rejection of overly sleek design. It can be quite striking, but it's not for everyone.
I can imagine it's like the difference between a minimalist modern art museum and a grungy underground music venue. Both have their appeal, but they attract very different crowds.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of web design in 2025. There's so much room for creativity and self-expression.
All right. I'm getting excited to dive deeper into these visual styles, but we'll have to say that for part 2 of this deep dive.
Okay.
Because we're running out of time here.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back with more insights from this fascinating article and even more actionable advice for creating a truly exceptional website in 2025.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're continuing our exploration of what makes a good website in 2025, especially for our listeners in communications and marketing who are thinking about a website refresh. And there's a lot to consider.
There is.
In the last part, we covered speed security, user experience personalization. We even dipped our toes into accessibility and some of the visual design trends emerging in 2025. You know what really stuck with me? The idea that accessibility isn't just about doing the right thing ethically, but it can actually benefit all users and even boost your SEO.
Absolutely. And there's so many practical things you can do to make your site more accessible. This article from Images Creations mentions things like ensuring sufficient color contrast between text and backgrounds, providing alternative text descriptions for images, and making sure your site is navigable using only a keyboard.
Okay, so let's say I'm convinced and I want to make my website as accessible as possible. Where do I even begin? It feels a bit overwhelming.
It's understandable to feel that way, but there are great tools out there that can help, like Wavy and Axe.
Okay.
Think of them like digital detectives that scan your website for potential accessibility issues and give you specific recommendations.
So they take the guesswork out of it.
They do.
It's reassuring.
And remember, you don't have to do everything perfectly overnight. Start by focusing on the most impactful changes.
Okay.
And gradually work your way up.
That's good advice, especially for those of us who might not have a huge budget or a dedicated web development team.
Exactly. And remember, Images Creations, the agency behind this article, they're all about helping businesses navigate these complexities. They've got 3 decades of experience, and they're true experts in creating accessible and user-friendly websites.
Okay, I'm adding check out Images Creations to my to-do list. Now let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
I'm really curious to explore some of those visual design trends we touched on earlier.
Yeah, let's do it.
We talked about minimalism, brutalism, and glassmorphism.
Ah, yes, the visual feast. Each style has its own unique flavor and evokes a different feeling.
Okay, so break it down for me. Let's say I'm a marketing manager for a high-end fashion brand.
Okay.
Would minimalism be a good fit for my website?
Minimalism could be a perfect match. For a high-end fashion brand, it's all about clean lines, simple layouts, and a focus on elegance and sophistication. Think lots of white space, high-quality photography, and carefully chosen typography.
I can see how that would create a sense of luxury and exclusivity.
Uh-huh.
But what about a brand that's more rebellious and edgy? Would minimalism work for them?
Probably not for a brand that wants to break the mold. Something like brutalism might be a better fit.
Okay, remind me what brutalism is all about. It sounds a bit intense.
Brutalism is all about raw, unpolished aesthetics. Think bold typography, stark contrasts, unconventional layouts, and a rejection of overly sleek design. It's about making a statement and standing out from the crowd.
So it's like the visual equivalent of punk rock.
Exactly. It's about challenging conventions.
Yeah.
And grabbing attention.
I love that analogy. And what about glassmorphism? That one sounds intriguing.
Glassmorphism is a newer trend that's gaining popularity. It's characterized by transparent, blurred elements that create a layered, almost frosted glass effect. It can add a touch of modernity and sophistication to a website.
So it's like a subtle way to add visual interest without being too over the top.
Exactly. It's a great way to create a sense of depth and dimension.
Okay. I'm getting a much better sense of these different design styles. But how do I know which one is right for my brand?
It's all about understanding your brand identity and target audience. What kind of message do you want to convey? What kind of feeling do you want to evoke? The visual style you choose should align with those goals.
So it's not just about what I like personally. It's about what will resonate with my audience and effectively communicate my brand's message.
Exactly. And remember, you can always mix and match elements from different styles to create something unique and truly representative of your brand.
Okay, that's really helpful advice. Now let's talk about a trend that I'm particularly fascinated by. Scrollytelling.
Okay.
It sounds like a really engaging way to tell a story online.
Scrollytelling is a fantastic way to captivate your audience and guide them through a narrative as they scroll down the page. It's like creating an interactive journey where the story unfolds with each scroll.
The article mentions using animation changing backgrounds and zooming in on key images to create this immersive experience.
Right.
Do you have any examples of websites that do scrollytelling really well?
Oh, absolutely. There's a website for a nonprofit organization that uses scrollytelling to showcase their impact on the world. As you scroll, you're taken on a journey through different communities, witnessing firsthand the positive changes the organization has made. It's incredibly powerful and moving.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I can see how storytelling could be used for so many different purposes. Telling a brand's origin story, showcasing a product's features, even creating an interactive educational experience.
You're exactly right. The possibilities are endless, but remember, it's important to use scrollytelling thoughtfully and strategically. Don't overload the page with too much animation or make the experience too long and tedious.
So it's all about balance. As with so many things in web design, you want to engage your audience, not overwhelm them.
Exactly. And remember, performance is key. Optimize those animations and visuals so they load quickly and don't slow down the user experience.
Great point. No one wants to wait for a slow-loading website, no matter how visually impressive it is. Okay, so we've talked about visual design trends and scrollytelling. What else is on the menu for a good website in 2025?
Let's talk about multimedia.
Okay.
We live in a world where people are consuming content in so many different formats. Video, audio, interactive graphics.
So it makes sense to incorporate these elements into our websites, right? But how do we do it effectively? I feel like it could easily become too much.
You're right. It's all about integration and balance. The key is to use multimedia in a way that enhances the user experience, not overwhelms it.
Okay, give me some concrete examples. How can I use multimedia in a way that's both engaging and user-friendly?
Imagine you're launching a new product.
Okay.
You could create a short, snappy video showcasing its features and benefits, embedding it right on your product page. Or let's say you have complex data to present. Turn it into an interactive graphic that allows users to explore the information at their own pace.
And what about podcasts? Podcasts are huge right now. Could I integrate a podcast into my website?
Absolutely. Imagine embedding your latest podcast episode directly on your website, giving visitors the option to listen while they browse other content. It's all about providing a rich and varied multimedia experience that caters to different learning styles and preferences.
I love these ideas. It's about thinking beyond static text and images. And creating a more dynamic and engaging online experience.
Exactly. But as we've been saying, it's all about balance. Don't overload the site with too much multimedia content. Choose the right media for the right message, and make sure everything is optimized for speed and accessibility.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this episode. We've talked about accessibility, visual design trends, scrollytelling, and multimedia.
We have.
All crucial ingredients for a good website in 2025. But there are two more crucial elements we can't ignore: ethics and sustainability.
Right. And to delve into those topics, we'll have to move on to part 3 of this deep dive.
Stay tuned, everyone, for the final chapter of our exploration of the ever-evolving world of websites. Welcome back, everyone, as the final part of our deep dive into what makes a website truly good in 2025. We've covered so much already: speed, security, user experience, even visual design trends, and multimedia integration.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. And in this last part, we want to shift gears slightly and talk about 2 elements that are increasingly important for any business, but especially for those of you in communications and marketing: ethics and sustainability.
Right. Because it's not just about building a website that looks good and functions well. It's also about building a website that reflects your values. And resonates with an audience that's becoming more and more conscious of these things.
Exactly. Consumers are savvy. They can sniff out a website that's all style and no substance. They want to know that the brands they support are operating ethically and responsibly.
So when we talk about ethics in web design, what are we really talking about?
Transparency is a big one. This article from Images Creations really stresses the need to be upfront with users about how their data is being collected and used.
So clear cookie banners, easy to understand privacy policies, no sneaky tactics to trick people into giving up their information. It's about building trust, right?
Absolutely. It's about treating your users with respect. Imagine you walk into a store and the salesperson immediately starts following you around, demanding your personal information before you've even had a chance to look around. You'd probably walk right out.
I know I would. It's about creating a welcoming and trustworthy environment.
Exactly.
Whether it's a physical store or a website.
And in today's digital landscape, where data privacy is a major concern, that trust is more important than ever.
Okay, so we've talked about ethical data practices. What about sustainability? How does that factor into web design?
Sustainability in web design is about minimizing the environmental impact of your website. It's about recognizing that the digital world has a real-world footprint.
So what does a green website actually look like? What are some practical steps I can take to make my website more sustainable?
There are a lot of things you can do. This article mentions choosing a green hosting provider.
Okay.
Which means your website is powered by renewable energy sources.
So I can switch to a hosting company that uses wind or solar power.
Yeah.
That seems like a relatively easy change to make.
It is, and it can make a big difference. You can also optimize your website's code and images to reduce file sizes, which means faster loading times and less energy consumption.
It's like streamlining your car to get better gas mileage.
Exactly. And you can even consider using a minimalist design approach, which often translates to a smaller website footprint.
So all those things we talked about earlier, optimizing for speed, accessibility, user experience, they can all contribute to a more sustainable website.
Absolutely. It's all interconnected. A well-designed website is often a more sustainable website. And remember, sustainability isn't just good for the planet. It's good for business, too.
Right. Consumers are increasingly choosing brands that align with their values.
Exactly.
And sustainability is a big one.
By showcasing your commitment to sustainability on your website, you're attracting like-minded customers and building a brand that stands for something positive.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about everything from the technical foundations of a good website to the ethical and sustainable considerations that are shaping the future of web design. While this article has been a great guide, it's important to remember that building a website is an ongoing process.
Right.
The digital landscape is constantly evolving. So how can our listeners stay ahead of the curve? What resources would you recommend?
Images Creations, the agency behind this article, is a great resource. They have over 3 decades of experience in the digital world, and their website is full of valuable information. They even have a blog with in-depth articles on all things digital.
I'm definitely checking that out. It sounds like they have a wealth of knowledge to share.
They do. And remember, you don't have to navigate this complex landscape alone. Digital agencies like Images Creations are here to partner with you and help you create a website that not only meets your business goals, but also reflects your values and resonates with your audience.
Great advice. And for our listener who's embarking on their website revamp journey, what's the one key takeaway you'd want them to remember?
A truly good website in 2025 is more than just a collection of pretty pages. It's a reflection of your brand's values, a commitment to ethical practices, and a dedication to creating a positive impact on the world.
I love that. It's about purpose as much as it is about design and functionality.
Exactly. And that purpose should shine through in everything you do online.
Well said. And on that inspiring note, it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, everyone. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are feeling inspired to create a website that's truly exceptional.
And remember, you can find Images Creations online at www.imagecreations.fr. Be sure to explore their blog. It's a treasure trove of digital knowledge.
Until next time, happy website building.